Yes, welcome back, guys. I haven't done a video for a while, so I thought, why not, So thanks for joining me. Those of you that have been here before, thank you for coming back. And those of you that haven't been here before, welcome. And please do all the good stuff, like, subscribe, all of that stuff, please. Just pulling the knots out of my hair here. So happy bank holiday weekend to everyone. Just a quick video. I try not to make them too long, but I do welcome your comments, whether you agree or disagree. I welcome all your comments and your views, because that's how we learn, guys, right? We learn from each other, right? So yeah, so I value everyone's opinions, whether I agree or disagree, right? So I just wanted to do a video about not just Jamaicans, but the whole of the Caribbean, right? Caribbean countries, right? And I just want to talk about our identity and who we are a little bit. And I think I'm going to do a few videos on this, because I'm hoping that people will comment and I can kind of expand and learn as well as we go along. But I think that we have our identity, or what we believe to be our identity, and that is based upon a lot of the history that we've been taught. But I just think that as Caribbean people, we need to kind of look at that again. Some of us already are doing that, and realizing that we are not necessarily who we've been told or taught that we are, if that makes sense, right? So in other words, we have been, who has taught us? We need to look at and remind ourselves who essentially is responsible for educating us, right, about ourselves, right? And when we look into that, then I start to think that we need to question a lot of those teachings, right? And find out if those things are actually true or not true, right? And I'm starting on a journey of that, trying to find out if what I've been taught, that my ancestors were slaves, and we were brought to the Caribbean and the Americas as slaves, and I don't have to go on about the usual story, because we all know that narrative. But I just think that we've all got some work to do right now. I think that we need to get some clarity on who we are, and that's just broadly, generally speaking, right? And as I say, people are already doing that. There's lots of great conversations taking place on TikTok, and before they shut it down, which I think they probably will eventually, I think that as many of us that can kind of engage in some of these discussions on TikTok about Caribbean and African American heritage, we should do that ASAP, right? And learn from each other, and get the knowledge that we desperately need in this time, right, guys? So that being said, Caribbean people specifically, and Jamaicans specifically, right? Many of us, I realise, are not aware of the fact that we are, as the Jamaican island is actually a part of the Americas, and North America specifically. Please put in the comments if you are already aware of that, or if you are not aware of that, right? That Jamaica is a part of the Americas, and you have USA as the main land, and then you have you know, the other Caribbean islands, but Jamaica specifically, again, because that's my heritage. You know, we need to know that, right? Among many other things, right? We are a part of the Americas, okay? Yes, we were colonized by the British and all the rest of it, but we are, you know, geographically, we are in the Americas, right? Okay. Now there's an issue on TikTok about the identity of Caribbean people, right? There are many people saying that they are African, and I touched on this in a previous video, and I'll probably continue to discuss this subject because I think it's important that we discover and understand exactly who we are and not base our knowledge of ourselves on historical lies and deception and whatever else, right? We need to know for ourselves who we are. Now, there are many people saying that as African Americans or Black Americans or whatever the names are, that they are not African and they are Americans. You have many Caribbean, a lot of Jamaicans think that they are Africans and they are, you know, comfortable with that as an identity, right? I am really confused, right? To some degree, I'm confused about it. The more I'm learning, the more I'm questioning that original narrative, right? And you know, this is. I want to be clear about this, right? This is not about hating on Africa, hating on Africans, and you know, or disrespecting Africans or anything like that. This is about a nation of people that have been put through so much, as we all know, allegedly, and trying to find out the truth about their identity, right? You know, if we are Africans, if we are from Africa, then I'd like to know, you know, what tribe we're from, you know, if that's the case. I'd like to know more. I'd like to know whether that is even true. And if we are not Africans, but in fact we are the original Americans, you know, we are the original Carib people whose original language was Creole, then I'd like to know that too, right? And some people are not even on this frequency. I'm fully aware that the majority probably of us are not even on this frequency, and it's not an easy frequency to be on, because you're kind of you're having to do a lot of work, you know. Actually, it's not easy, and you can't not be on the frequency, because you just are. You're being led almost to find these answers, you know. And I know there's people out there that can relate to what I'm saying, and I know there's probably many more that cannot, right? And I appreciate both perspectives, okay? But I think we need to work together to find some answers. Anyone who can give clarity on what I'm saying, please do that in the comment section, because it's so important that we share the knowledge that we're discovering through research. Many of us are doing great research, and I'm embarking on that too, right? Anyone who potentially knows more about the Haitian empire, right? Please share your knowledge on that as well. my understanding is that Haiti and the Haiti or Haiti was once the whole empire once was the whole Americas and Caribbean. That was all called Haiti. That was the whole Haitian empire. Again, am I wrong? If I'm correct, please let me know. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And let's get this knowledge up, guys, and this awareness of who we are and so on. You know, are Haitians today, are they descendants of Africa as well, or are they not? I don't know. You know, there's a lot of I wouldn't even, I keep saying confusion, maybe because I'm feeling confused right now, right? But there's a lot of people that are not confused at all. They're very clear about who we are and who, the difference between who we actually are and who we've been told that we are. You know, you have the theory of Bantu people, right? Who went through a great migration in Africa, and potentially were the people that specifically were targeted for the Atlantic slave trade, and those specific people were targeted. Now, again, anyone knowing about that stuff and maybe can expand on that, please put it in the comments. You know, I'm just kind of giving you a broad a view of the types of things I'm looking into and discovering, and it's really interesting, guys. But essentially, what I'm kind of saying, let me conclude with saying, I am starting to question the original and the popular narrative of my ancestors. We are descendants of slaves. My ancestors were put through the Atlantic slave trade, and you know, yeah, that narrative, right? And that we are descendants of Africans and so on, right? I'm really starting to question that. And again, this is not saying I don't love Africa, and I love Africa. I love African people. There's no hate here. This is not even about African people. This is really about Caribbean people, Black Americans, African American people who want clarity on their identity, which has been messed about with, actually. You know, we don't know. We're a people that need to know exactly who we are. Also, the Tartarian Empire, right? And Guyana, Suriname. Is it Suriname? Guyana? The Guyanese had a lot to do with that in terms of architecture and the buildings, the Tartarian buildings that we're seeing all over the world, actually. You know, there's so much hidden history, and it's massive, as you can tell by the things I'm touching on. It is a massive hidden history, and I think it's our duty in this generation to start prodding and poking into and exploring what the truth actually is, right? And as I say, lots of people are doing that for us, and all we have to do is tap in if we're interested, and absorb some of that and learn along the way who we are, right? You know, there's been a massive historical cover-up with regards to a particular people, and those people are the so-called descendants of slaves and slavery. I don't think that's true, right? And you know, what's another point I want to make about? I suppose, okay, Brazil. Let's use Brazil as an example, right? Brazil has a lot of Africans, right? And they embrace their African heritage, but they are Brazilian, and we don't argue with that. We don't say, but you're African. We say that we acknowledge that they're Brazilian, right? Even though they have an awareness and an acceptance and a pride, an African pride in terms of their heritage, right? And I think the Caribbean have had the same, and we've always embraced our African heritage based upon the knowledge that we have, right? And that's fine, okay? The difference, though, is that we would never question or argue and debate with a Brazilian who says he is Brazilian and says that he or she is Brazilian, right? But I'm finding on TikTok that if an American, if a black American says I'm American, right, or there's something really deep going on here, and I think that people shouldn't take offence really to, and the question is, why are people taking offence to Caribbean people try to find out who they are and find their correct identity, and if that is African, it is African, and if that is actually American, the original Americans, then that's what it is, right? And there shouldn't be any offence taken by anyone about a people finding out or trying to discover who they are, right? And there's a reason why these particular people need to know who they are, because of what they've been through, right? Allegedly, okay? So I know, I'm very aware that what I'm saying may be very confusing to a lot of people, but I'm also equally aware that there's people definitely on the same frequency as me and understand what I'm trying to get at and what I'm trying to seek and achieve, right? Which essentially is raising and enhancing our understanding of who we are, which empowers you to go forward and do the things that we're going to have to do very soon. And our children are going to have to be equipped with the knowledge of exactly who they are, and not the lies of history taught to us by our essentially enemies. Right? I don't think the enemies taught us the truth or equipped us with the truth. I think they equipped us with lies about ourselves. Right? So that's all I wanted to say. I know that was really confusing, but I just threw it out there because I just wanted to do that, to kind of encourage a response. Right? Hopefully positive responses. Right? But if you can relate to all of that, again, please comment. Please help us to learn and rediscover who we are. Alright, guys? Take care. See you soon. Bye.